gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between, welcome to the Chaps Chat Cats, an instant ReCats show. Oh, Johnny on the branding.
Absolutely.
Johnny on the branding. Sensational stuff, Johnny. How are you after the game? How are you going? You've obviously just finished watching it as well.
Yes.
How are you feeling? How are you feeling?
Pretty good.
Immediately after.
Immediately after, pretty good. Pretty satisfied with the win. What I was expecting, really, from the game. Not a massive blowout like everyone was expecting or hoping or thinking the Cats could do. It was a hard-fought game. That was one in the last quarter, which said it was basically going to happen. And you know, I'm sure a lot of Cats fans out there were panicking throughout there, going, "Oh shit, they're going to cough this up against West Coast after the bye." It's like, well, there've been many times when there has been that chance to cough it up, but they've bounced back every time in that third quarter, fourth quarters. I had faith that they'll do it again, and they did. And yeah, I'm pretty satisfied, I would say.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you're feeling a Saturday sense of satisfaction after the game. If you're watching along, feel free to chuck a comment
Please do.
down on the live feed. If you've got questions, if you've got thoughts, chuck them all down there in the chat. Probably stick around for about 15, 20 minutes, I'd say, or gas bag on for about 15 or 20 minutes just with our initial thoughts. Still going to do our, our full recap podcast on Monday night for you. Make sure you go and hit the subscribe button if you'd be so kind.
Hit that bell.
It was funny, Johnny, like Cat's Twitter before the game, there was sort of this sense of like a lot of people feeling like it could be a bit of a banana peel game. After the bye, West Coast with players coming back. Oh, it's classic. Oh, Cat's trip up spot. I was kind of shocked with how surprised everyone seemed when it played out that way. Like there was a lot of, sort of this kind of reaction going on from Cat's Twitter. A lot of people sort of in their panic, in their feels. But, Geelong rode the bumps. I've been pretty impressed all season, Johnny, by how the Cats have sort of, weathered the opposition storm. When the Cats don't have the ascendancy, they don't have the control of the game, they're able to really suffocate the opposition, and they did that again today, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. They really suffocated them, didn't let them get those easy balls inside 50. And when it did, again, like the Western Bulldogs, they had to really work hard to get them. They did get a bit of a run in that second quarter, but apart from that, West Coast didn't really get an easy goal that I could see or hear. I was listening to radio for 3/4 of it. I watched the last quarter, but yeah, it always seemed West Coast had to fight for those goals. The Cats also had to fight a bit, but when they did get the goals, they got them pretty easy, pretty straightforward for most of the game. And yeah, as I said, I think it was exactly what I was expecting it to play out. I'm not expecting the Cats to smash oppositions, especially low ones on the table, because it's not what the Cats are about. You don't want to waste your energy playing against low-level teams and smashing them constantly. You want to reserve that energy. You don't want to do a Carlton or the Saints and lose momentum and lose energy when it counts the most, which is sort of getting to that point. So, yeah, I'm satisfied, as I said earlier, happy with the win. Good game by everyone. West Coast fought hard, which was really good to see. I'm glad it wasn't a boring, dull game. I'm glad it was a bit of fight by West Coast because it hasn't been shown, and it was good to see them, show a bit of pride and a bit of dignity in their game and not just keel over when they could have easily done so many times there. So, it's always good to see teams struggling find a bit of fight and energy.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually really enjoyed this game. I put in the group chat that it was, fiercely contested. The Eagles, credit to them, brought an acceptable level, an AFL standard of pressure and physicality and will and desire to tackle, which they haven't necessarily done all season. And the Cats responded in kind. It was a tough game. I liked it. Like the skill level wasn't insanely high. We looked a bit rusty after the bye. The Eagles looked sort of as rusty as they have all season, sort of scraping together a performance. But there was certainly the intent to compete. And that's something too I've liked from the Cats this year. I feel like we look more rugged
Mm.
this year. More, not just, oh, we have to tackle. It's like we want to tackle. We want to be hit. We want to dish out hits. Do they look a bit more physical to you this year and willing to really smack in and do the dirty work?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely with Cooper Stevens in the side now, really bringing a bit more of that physical side of the game. Selwood starting to really throw his body around again. He's got that sort of that confidence that he's not really going to hurt himself too bad, or he just doesn't care anymore about hurting himself too much, like he used to when he was younger. And yeah, DeConing as well, smashing those packs. Yeah, it definitely feels that the tackle pressure has lifted for the Cats again. It was a shame not seeing Parfitt out there because I thought his pressure would have added a bit more. But yeah, it's definitely that physicality, like you said, is really there for the Cats. And it was there tonight, which was sorely needed against this fast moving West Coast team because they really wanted to move it fast, but just couldn't, either through skill errors or just not being tidy or just from direct Cats pressure. So yeah, pretty happy with it.
Yeah, it's interesting for a game that, the Cats won by 3 goals. Really dominated in most areas. 11 more inside 50s. Much better efficiency inside 50s. Inside 50, more hit outs, more clearances, more center clearances. More contested possession. Um, uh, More marks inside 50, more contested marks. Split the tackles evenly, 55 each. So it was like we said, like it wasn't the most efficient performance from the Cats, but I thought, something that I think is perhaps not talked about enough, maybe, or maybe it is, maybe I'm just missing it, is the fact that like we're still yet to get our best 22 all together for an extended, run of games. Like we're still, you get Menegola back today, but you don't have Dangerfield, which is admittedly through choice. Like he's an omission, a health omission, so that he can get right. But, no Parfitt, he goes down injured. You're still working Jack Henry back. Menegola looked rusty, I thought. I thought he still looked like a little short of total match speed.
Yeah,
So like the Cats, looked a little disconnected, but that's probably because they are still a little bit disconnected, right? Coming off a bye and still not that 22 players that have had a month or two of footy, all together behind them,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. The same as West Coast, they look very disconnected because they've had half the team out due to COVID and other reasons. So it's you can't just chuck a whole new players in there and expect them to play fantastic footy or come off the bye. And when you go into the bye knowing you've got West Coast coming up next, who haven't been the hottest team this year, yeah, it's going to be tough to get up and go, yeah, we've got to play our best, which, sort of did, but not really. Yeah. And also not having Rowan there as well through illness. Holmes still isn't there. So there's, yeah, as you said, there's still a lot of good players to come back in to fill those holes. And yeah, it's going to be a little while before they do get that full synergy back into it. I thought when we played Bulldogs, that's when we played the most synergy as a team. It looked the most
Yeah.
connected and all that. And, it's going to be another play 3, maybe 4 weeks before they could get that back with players coming in and players going out. So, yeah, I think it's still keep it calm mind of frame. Cats fans, keep calm, don't stress because top 4 now. We're in the top 4. There's no way we can
How
drop out of the top 4 after this round. So why are you panicking? Be happy. We're in
how
the top 4.
how how insane, really, from a Cats perspective. We're one win away from being equal first.
Yeah.
we've got the fourth best percentage in the competition. We're comfortably better than the sides, that are trailing us. It's a hell of a position to find yourself in, given the level of sort of transition and ins and outs you're sort of dealing with week to week, and the doom and gloom that was sort of a bit around the Cats before the season. To go, well, we're 13 games in, we're
Yep.
fourth. Message here from Foxy.
That's the
Um,
thing.
Foxy. Good to see you, Foxy.
Absolutely.
What a professional win by Geelong Cats. A real workman performance. Great pressure on the opposition when challenged. Congratulations on 700 goals for Tommy Hawkins.
Oh,
Johnny,
yes.
the big hawk,
Big
3
Hawk.
goals, 2, 5 marks. Not like vintage Tom Hawkins, but maybe in some ways it was, in that, he did help set some things up. He probably took away, he seemed to be double teamed for much of the
Mm.
afternoon. So that space maybe helped, that he created, helped guys like Tyson Stengel, who kicked 3 goals too. Um, what do you think about Hawkey's game? What do you think about the milestone of him? Like, he's not going to get to 1,000 goals, but that's not the type of player he is he?
No, absolutely not. He's not the one going, oh, I need 1,000 goals for my career to be complete. His career is already complete in my eyes, and I think many Cats fans' eyes. But what he brings to the team is that unselfish play. He's such a selfless player and brings other people into the game, into the team. I think if he wasn't the way he is, he could be getting 1,000 goals, but that's not why he plays a game, and that's not why Cats fans love him so much, because he's able to give young players opportunity, the courage, the confidence in themselves as well, that they can have shots at goals, they can work with Tom Hawkins really well, and he's not going to blow up if they don't kick it well, unless they do it a few times in a row like they did tonight. He was getting a bit angry. Talk about vintage Tom Hawkins. But, but yeah, what he brings to the team is a lot more than just goal kicking. It's leadership. It's bringing young guys into the game. It's sharing the ball around when sometimes he shouldn't. But no one's going to say you need to stop kicking the ball to someone who's in a better position, or to a young guy who could get his first goal in AFL. But he's not going to stop
Saying
doing
that's
that.
part of the culture, John.
Part of the culture.
It's part of the culture.
It's part of the Cats culture.
Um,
So yeah, he brings a lot more than just a goal kicker that you see at other teams.
Absolutely. Foxy chimes in. How many goals do you think that Tom Hawkins ends his career on? He's currently on the 701.
Yep.
I think he's turning 34 in July this year. I think he gets another, personally, 2 years max. Like, I can't see him playing beyond like 36 max. I don't think he's going to get to 800. I think maybe he could get within a sniff of it, maybe, but I think if he plays 2 more years, somewhere around that 780, 790. I guess it depends too how many goals he kicks here. Maybe he can get to 800. What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, I'm basically around the same. It depends what he gets this year. He's averaging 50 goals a year. So if he does
Yeah,
get
that's
50
close enough. Yeah.
goals a year this year, and then another 2 years, yeah, he'll get the 800 if he keeps going the way he's going. But that's a big ask. And does he want to go on for another 2 years? What if, if the Cats do win the premiership this year or next year or whatever, would he just retire there going, well, not much else there to gain? And so yeah, if he goes around for another 2 years, I could see him getting to 800, but I also see him getting a bit less than that. But yeah, 780 to 800, I reckon he'll end up getting if he goes on those 2 more years.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you kind of race it. You're now fighting against, the sands of time and all that sort of thing. You're trying to manage injury at the back end of your career and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I think he'll get within a sniff of 800. Possibly might clear it, depending on if things fall the right way. Foxy asked how many goal assists for Hawkins. No direct goal, no goal assists this afternoon. I'm assuming this afternoon. for Hawkeye, but he had 6 score involvements. Sam Menegola, what did you think of his game, Johnny? I'll give you the stats. He had 20 disposals, 7 marks, 2 tackles, 360 metres gained, a goal assist. His disposal was at 70%. Most of the disposal he won, the most of the possession he won was uncontested. But he also kicked 2 goals won, sold a truckload of candy down in the forward 50 for that. I think it was his second goal. Or maybe it was his first goal. Can't remember. What did you think of Menegola on a return to the side? Perhaps
Oh,
a little ahead of time.
a little bit ahead of the time. By those stats, you'd think it was a pretty fantastic return for him, but yeah, I still think a bit rusty, a bit underdone, as they say. But necessary bring in with Rowan out. But I think it was a positive to see him out there playing well, not really look too hampered in the body anywhere. So a good starting point for him, and hopefully a nice way to lay a good foundation for the rest of the year. And he can only get better from there. And if he gets a couple of goals here and there, gets that percentage up around 90, 80% that he normally goes at, then yeah, he'll be a huge asset in the Cats team. So yeah, got on him for coming back, playing really well. Not at his ultimate best yet, but first game back in nearly a year, so good work. Yeah, you can only get better from there.
How do you walk away from this game feeling, John? Like in the moment, like we're sitting at, 9 wins, 4 losses from 13 games. We're fourth. We're 1 game off from sitting equal first. Obviously, Brisbane, have been able to keep on sort of keeping on for the most part. You've also got Freo up there, Melbourne on the slide and starting to be beset by injury to key players. There's a few sides sort of below us that are starting to round into form. Collingwood springs to mind. Richmond. Richmond are a side that I kind of feel like bizarrely overlooked for a team that
Yep.
won a flag just, 1 season ago sort of thing. 2020, they were at the top of the mountain. How are you feeling after this game and for what it holds moving forward for the Cats?
Pretty satisfied, pretty happy,
Mm.
and a good, nice middle finger to the AFL media and the other competitions, saying they're too old, too slow yet again, saying they're going to bottom out. Well, top 4 is a nice way to tell them to shut up and stop saying stuff you don't know, because top 4 doesn't look like bottoming out to me. It looks like they're still doing the right things each and every single week, and can't ask much more than that. Just a feeling of satisfaction and contentment at the moment. Just yeah, very
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been awesome to see these young guys coming in. I mean, to think about the amount of younger players that we've been able to introduce, or even just players who they might not be teenagers, but they might just be in their early 20s, your Zach Guthrie's, players of that ilk. Even Tom Adkins, really cementing his spot. And he was brilliant today, tough, uncompromising, explosive, helped drive a lot of Cats attacks. Cooper Stevens in his early 20s getting, games into them, and you're still managing to win. Like, I really do think that other AFL teams have to be looking and going, and a case in point here for me is Richmond. Like, it's going to be an interesting case study, Richmond, how they go about
Mm.
trying to prolong. Do they try and prolong their competitiveness? Instead of just taking that thing of like, well, the premiership window's closed, we're cooked, let's just pack it up now and, tank for picks sort of thing. I think more sides should, more management need to have their feet held to the fire if they're throwing in the towel,
Yeah,
in order
absolutely.
to try and get successful, because I think it erodes the culture at a club. If you
Yeah,
kind of go, well, we're kind of going to accept losing for a while. I don't think that's really a good mentality to have, especially when teams around the world, not just in the AFL, but teams in the NFL, in the AFL, are proving that you can defy the draft if you're good enough to identify talent, good enough to develop it, and good enough to trade.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Cats are A grade material when it comes to define the draft. I'd say along with Sydney, they're pretty good at defining the
Great
draft as
point.
well. I don't see many other teams able to do the same as the Cats and the Swans. I always think they're pretty similar in terms of culture, you know, keeping really good good at keeping players at the club and also enticing other players to come to the club. And even when they're not, you know, always contending for the premiership, but contending for finals, they still get those players wanting to come to the club. So, yeah, I don't see the belief that you need to go to the draft to become an successful team. We've seen many teams go to the draft, like Melbourne. They've been to draft countless times, and it was only until last year that it finally worked. But how many times did they have to go back there each year to find a way, and then they would lose all their good draft picks to other teams through trade or whatever after a couple of seasons. So it doesn't work. It's not a guarantee. What a guarantee is keeping good players around, senior players, bringing young talent in that's may not be high in the draft, but still got good ability, and getting the senior players to show them how to play, getting a good coaching group around your team and the culture. And yeah, I don't think many fans should accept a losing mentality, going, oh, we've gone to the draft, we're going to lose for a few years. I'll be annoyed, devastated, and pissed off. Is go, yeah, we're going to the draft and we'll suffer for a few years. I was like, no, that's not why we're here to support. We're here to support good culture and a winning team. So yeah, I don't think any fans should accept a losing mentality.
And the thing is too, like I mean, we probably shouldn't get into it too much because it's meant to just be a quick instant react. But you think about North Melbourne and I was really surprised looking back. Like they were right there. They were, a game away from the grand final a couple of seasons. In the sort of 2010s. And then it sort of felt like they sort of disrespected some of the club legends, like your Boomer Harvey. They sort of, let him go. He's sort of ahead of time. I know he didn't play AFL footy anywhere else, but I still feel like that was wrong. Ben Brown ends up elsewhere. There's a number of players. Drew Petrie ends up at West Coast, and it's just bottomed out since then. Like, I think there's a difference. I get that you're not going to be able to win all the time every season. Like even Geelong, you are always, fighting against time and all that sort of thing to get your side transitioned over from a successful team to another successful team. It's like trying to step off one train and onto another. And sometimes you face plant onto the tracks. But the thing is that you should be making the attempt, in my opinion. You should be trying to level up and win as often as possible. If you lose in the process, that's fine. But accepting, mediocrity, or having this plan, and I'm not just talking about AFL, like in the NFL, it comes out all the time that teams are sort of like, happy to take a few seasons of losing, sacrificing years of other players' careers who have to play these losses out in order to acquire draft capital to get back up. I just think you should always be trying to win and trying to play competitively, because I think anything short of that, as I said, can really erode the culture. Any final thoughts, Johnny, on this game, or shall we wrap it up and get on with Saturday night?
Let's wrap it up and get on with our Saturday nights, because I think it's gone on nicely, and we can get into a recap on Monday.
That's right. You can go and listen to us Monday night. It'll be me, Sam, and Johnny. We'll do a full recap show, digging into the deep parts of the game with our analysis and thoughts on the outcome. You can also check us out on Wednesdays on the Hoops Show YouTube channel with Draft Wars. We'll be back with another pre-game preview of the Cats and Tigers. You'll be at the game.
I'll be at the game
next week. Is that Johnny, well, maybe Chaps fans need to get in contact. Chaps listeners,
Yes.
maybe you could bloody orchestrate a meetup at the game, Johnny.
I'll be in the Cats fan section on the right-hand side of the goals. Can't remember the set row seats. I may feel that information later in the not the recap, the preview. The recap show. Yes.
There's too many shows. Too many shows. But make sure you also go and listen to our AFLW trade and signing period recap. We get you all up to speed on the off-season comings and goings from the AFLW Cats, and we're going to be doing upwards of 3 episodes a week from here on out.